Hi, today we have Jessica Erlendson. I hope I pronounced that right.
That was
Hi,
really good.
Jessica.
Hi. Hi, Amy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so
Good.
much for being the first guest on this podcast. First of all, I'm very proud of that. And for being willing to come on as the first guest.
Yeah, well, no, I
Um,
think it's great, right? I'm all for it, and I hope it turns into a wonderful experience for everyone, listeners and the creators alike, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, I'm just going to let you, because you're in so many different aspects in the perimenopause, menopause space. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, what you do, and yeah, have the stage. Go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I kind of say that this niche found me. I am a musician and I teach music lessons, and I started perimenopause in my 40s, but I didn't really know that that's what it was. My doctors, though, were
Mhm.
looking for it, so I was really lucky and in very good care. And then I wanted to do yoga teacher training, which is something I always loved and wanted to do, but I didn't want to become a yoga teacher, so it was always a very strange, like, why do I want to do that? But I did it anyway because I joined a gym and they were like, you're stronger than you think and you can do whatever you put your mind to. And I started to believe them. So I did yoga teacher training. And then while I was there, I realized that I really wanted to help people on a one on one basis with specific help for injuries or issues that they were having. And
Mm.
I very luckily got into the Mount Royal University program and graduated in 2019. So the timing of my graduation and my perimenopause were like, it was just starting to get really bad at that time. I had been looking forward to learning about menopause in my program, and I really didn't. I got the same as the personal trainers and the massage therapists, the same
Mm.
background training and like physiology and pathologies and anatomy. And there was one paragraph on menopause. So when you hear that they don't get any training in menopause, they're not making that up. That was the
Mm-mm.
basic, that's the first year course that everybody in nursing and doctoring takes, right? And
Yeah.
I was really disappointed, discouraged by that. So I just started learning on my own. And I started, niching into helping women in perimenopause because they're just in terrible shape and they need so much help. And there's so much conflicting information online because a
Uh-huh.
lot of the information you find is very opinion based,
Yes.
right? So it's their personal opinion on what should be happening that they're really sharing. And what I do that's different is I've learned so much from many different sources, and I really don't have an opinion on what someone else should be doing with their body. So, what
Right.
I do with clients is I help people to find what they need to do. And if they don't want to take prescriptions, we don't work with prescriptions. But if they do, I will help them to get the prescriptions that they want.
Okay.
And I've taken women who were too afraid to leave their house and had quit their jobs back into the workforce and getting promotions, or
Ah.
people who are afraid that they're going to lose their job because of poor performance, ending up getting promotions and going on their vacations and enjoying themselves. The thing about it is it's not super hard stuff that I do, but it's not the kind of thing that you can easily do for yourself because we're so immersed in our own journey.
Yeah.
I can come in from the outside perspective. Now, I've helped hundreds of women in the large group that I run, the Canadian Perimenopause and Menopause Support Group on Facebook. There's
Mm.
almost 13,000 members now.
Awesome.
Actual people, we screen everybody really carefully. I have 7 volunteers that help me run that group. And so I offer everyone a free call. I think I've done like 130 or something now at this point where I've helped. So I've talked to so many different people going
Yeah.
through it that I can kind of look at it objectively and be like, okay, so what's causing you the worst issues and what can we do to help you with that right now? That's pretty
Right.
simple to get you feeling a little bit better so that you're prepared to go back and talk to your doctor again, and how to approach that and what to say, or whether you need to turn to a nurse practitioner or a prescribing pharmacist, or what have you, another way to get what you need. That's what I see what's happening. We get beat up in perimenopause and then we're supposed to go in and have a fight. right? Advocate for yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay, but
tired.
go ahead and like, how am I going to do that? I'm going to go in, I'm going to say, I think I want to try this prescription. The doctor's going to say no. I'm just going to start crying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We don't have that fight. So with me in your corner, I will just keep sending you back with different things to say until you get what you want.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying the episode that you're watching. If you could really quick, hit the button and subscribe to this channel. The way that we grow and reach a wider audience around this very important topic is through you. It's absolutely free to do. You're under no other obligation. Just hit the subscribe button, and we thank you for helping us grow our community. Thanks. I love that you do that because my journey with it was an 8 year process. Like, all of a sudden, I started having panic attacks, and that was it was a mixture of panic attacks and vertigo. And it was the kind of vertigo where if I was driving my car and you're getting off of an overpass, it just kept like my car kept turning, is what it
Yeah.
felt like. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't drive, because what if I feel like I am and I turn my wheel and off the overpass I go? And then I also was getting panic attacks to the point of I would pass out. I literally had to call an ambulance on myself because I was driving again and I almost passed out. So I went through the ringer. They sent me for CT scans. They told me I might have MS. They told me I might have lupus. I might have osteoporosis when nobody did a bone scan on me. I'm like, what is going on here? So I went through 8 doctors, 8, until I found somebody because I kept saying, just give me hormones. No, we can't. Why can't you? Because you have a bad history. I don't have a bad history. My ancestors have a bad history. We know this. I get mammograms and MRIs on a 6 month rotation. I'm up to date on my pap smears. I've never had cancerous cells. I've never, so why
Hmm.
can't I get the help that I need in order to treat this? Because I my periods were awful to begin with, right? I had
Yeah.
PMDD, and then yeah, they were horrible. And I wasn't my body didn't like birth control to help with that.
Hmm.
Like, I would just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and I'll get off my own little soapbox here in just a second. But I also, um, oh, where was I going with that? Oh, my perimenopause symptoms have been pretty extreme. I have eczema and dermatitis now. I have I get kaleidoscopic eye vision and auras from like during my ovulation period. And I felt like I was going crazy is basically
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say. And
Hmm.
nobody would help me. Everything was fine. All my tests came back fine. And every new doctor, of course, they have to run the tests again. And it's the same thing. And I'm like, what is happening? This is just my plight in life until I found somebody who specialized in menopause and had actually took the time to study it. So I love the fact that you are advocating for women. I think
Hmm.
it is so important for women to have these advocates out there because there's still so much that they don't know about this. And it's something that they're learning new every single day.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I
was,
just want to verify for you, Amy. I have heard now your case is a little extreme, actually passing out from hot flashes or from having a panic attack. I have heard that before, but that's on the like high end of
yeah,
you need help right now kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, but the whole like getting the test results back and everything's normal, that's actually one of the reasons why we opened up the group, because when I first started the group, it was for me and people that I suspected might be in perimenopause that might want to talk about it because my personal friends didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
They were not ready, or they were in denial, or they were waiting for their doctor to actually say perimenopause, and they don't.
No.
Generally speaking, mine did. I was very lucky that way. But it's just to say, like, for anybody who's listening and you're hearing all of this, I hear this all the time. This is
Yeah.
what I hear from women all the time. Every day, someone in the group comes in and says, I think I'm nuts. And then they have this litany of complaints that are things that I've probably experienced and many other members in the group have, even if we don't have the same story, some of them, like, I'm very lucky. I've been really fortunate to respond well to a progestin only birth control pill,
Ah.
no estrogen. That has worked really well for me, but I ended up on that because I have endometriosis. And so it's approved
Mm.
for endometriosis. And it also works in that same way of, because you're not ovulating. And
Right.
so there are options, but even getting to that took, like, my family doctor didn't know that one. I have a functional medicine specialist who didn't know that one. It took me more than 2 years to finally get to see a gynecologist because they kept dropping my referral
Yeah.
during 2020. It just disappeared. They didn't know what happened to it, so they would send it again, but then it's like you start over. And until finally my functional medicine doctor was like, okay, there's a clinic in Canmore, which is a mountain town not far from where I live. Drive to Canmore to see this gynecologist, and she was the ticket. It's almost like you just
Yeah.
have to keep looking until you find the person or the people.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I went on, and I just so happened to be scrolling and came across a woman's post about going to menopausesociety.org, and go under practitioners because they take more training than what your
Mm-hmm.
average doctor does. And I went, that's how I found mine. And I was like, oh, like we went, she literally canceled. She referred her patients that were scheduled within that hour to her nurse practitioner. And we went over my symptoms and she's like, honey, this is perimenopause. And I
Yeah.
just started bawling
Aw.
because I didn't know. I was tired of paying the money out for doctors gaslighting me, telling me I'm fine, telling me I have anxiety. Is your home life okay? Why do you keep making up these symptoms? And it's like, really? I'm not making this up. I can't sleep. I'm not one that sleeps a lot, and I'm sleeping 12 hours and then need a 4 hour nap. I'm like, something's not right. You guys are missing something.
Yeah. And it's scary
Yeah.
too, like, because for me anyway, I know part of my anxiety went to health anxiety. So for a
Hmm.
while there, every sensation, like, oh, my skin's extra itchy, it feels kind of bug crawling. Oh my God, I probably have skin cancer, right? Like, just
Yes,
everything. So it's not reassuring to go to the doctor and have them say, your
you're
blood
okay.
work looks great, like
Yeah,
everything is fine, because that makes you feel even more crazy. And it's really unfortunate that we are in this boat. But there are now quite a few of us different people working in coaching and helping women to get the resources they need, and working to get the information out into the women's hands so they can make their decisions based on, the facts and not the
yes,
paranoia that a lot of people have. But that being said, if I have someone come to me and say, I'm not willing to do XYZ, I say, okay, we're just not going to do that, because there's
yeah,
no point in putting something in someone's hands if they're not willing to take it anyway, right?
right,
They go home with a
right,
prescription they're afraid to take. You haven't helped them at all.
right. And with me, and I believe every woman's situation is different too.
That's the other problem.
Um, and we're all different and we all get affected differently. And in my family history, osteoporosis is really high. My mom had a cold back in 2019 and she coughed and she broke two vertebrae because she was never put on estrogen. And it was never offered to her. Like she had and I had nobody to talk. I want to hit that too. I had no one to talk to about this because all the women come from back in the day when they start getting these issues, you need a hysterectomy. And they were forced into menopause. And then they were basing their findings off of the old studies and not the newer studies. So people were terrified, you know. So God love them. They had to go through this with nothing,
I
you
know.
know.
Our moms, yeah. One of the doctors I had, she came and and spoke at the conference last year, and her video is available on the School of Perimenopause at the gold level. And she talked about her own mother and how, you know, frankly disturbing it is to realize that her mother missed that whole prime window of the 10 years to be taking any kind of estrogen or progesterone to help support her
Yep.
bones. And, you know, the dementia issue that they have shown now that estrogen can really help protect your brain health. And, you know, it's very sad to think that a lot of suffering has gone on that was really needless. And the women that are in their
Yes.
70s and 80s now with osteoporosis, you know, they didn't get to take advantage of. What really makes me angry about it is that when they did that original study, they knew it was wrong. They
Yeah.
knew that it was written up for the news. What do they call that? Like the soundbite, right? To get people's
Yeah.
attention. Estrogen causes cancer. But one of the things that I've learned, and I have like my stack of books here because I love reading anyway. But this one, Estrogen Matters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
these guys have basically like the whole book is just them defunking exactly what happened, debunking the whole thing, again and again and again, and referencing more current studies where this original study has been disproven again and again and again. But you know the paranoia in the mentality of the general public has not subsided like every day. Well, not
Mm-mm.
every day. When I first started opening the group up to people that I didn't personally know, we did have people coming in and being like, this is irresponsible, you shouldn't be talking about hormone replacement because you know I'm not a doctor and I don't prescribe, and it's not safe. It's just not safe. And then what has happened over the course of the last 2 years, because now in April it'll be 5 years the group has been running, so many of the people who joined with that attitude of like hormone replacement therapy or hormone therapy at all is not safe, period, have now come around full circle. So they're telling other women, you know, you could ask about this. You could start here. You
Yeah.
could just look at this study, or, you know, there's a lot of sharing of information. And, but still with that idea that one of my volunteers is really, she's not going to have anything to do with the pharmaceuticals. She just, no, thank you. I don't want any
I know a lot
pharmacy.
of people
Yeah,
like that.
no.
Yeah.
For her, it's a no. And she volunteers and she's a great volunteer and she has kept the group running when I was so burnt out from it because, you know, sometimes people are mean online just because they can. And I'm kind of soft hearted, so I guess that I'm an easy target. But she would be like point blank, I'm not going to ever take it, and have people be like, how could you? How dare you? Right? Like, how can you have this person in your group? Like, you owe her because not only does she help me run this group, she shares your posts about the prescriptions that are helping you. She's not
Yeah.
editing that out.
Right.
She's just making sure that everybody's sharing what they know. And for her,
Yes.
you asked her opinion, and her opinion is for me, no. And she's
Right.
entitled to that. And I'm going to back her up on that as long as now if she changes her mind, I will also back her up on that. Same with people who've
Right.
started
Yes.
hormone therapy and they're not getting the results that they were expecting. If they want to change their mind and go off of it, I will support them to do that as well. Be-
Absolutely.
because it's
I
not a
always
one
say,
size fits all.
it's not.
It's
And our
not.
bodies are all so different. Like, I mean, we're gonna deliver babies differently. We're gonna have different types of pregnancies. We're gonna have different periods. Well, you know, our menopause journey is gonna be different also
Yeah.
because our body uses it differently.
Yeah.
And it depends on your makeup. Real quick, I want to touch, you had talked a little bit about how they're finding the brain changes. And I want to go a little bit into brain fog, the sleep issues, and the anxiety. And then we can, you know, let's touch on how that can also affect our intimacy a little bit. So what is brain fog exactly? Can you explain that to our listeners and how does it affect us short term and long term?
Yeah, brain fog isn't a technical term. It's not a medical diagnosis. However, it has been acknowledged now. There's another book that you might want to get, and I don't think I have it right here, but it's on, is it Moscone? She just wrote about the menopause brain. Here it is. Oh my
Yep.
God. Moscone,
Speaking of which,
right? This
I
explains it
love it.
better than I can. And you know what? I mean, like, I studied science. I had to get my yoga therapy program, but I'm not really a science gal. What I am is a scientist. So if it works, it works, and there you go. That's
Right.
that's how I run my life. But brain fog is the idea where you really might be having trouble finding words. You could have word recall issues. You could have short-term memory loss problems. That book I just talked about, they talk a lot about how estrogen actually kind of works in the brain to keep all those neural pathways working properly.
Right.
So what I discovered is I could have too much systemic estrogen causing aura migraines, right? And other problems with like breast tenderness and those kind of things, but not have enough in my brain and in my private areas. Um, so some of it is just realizing that this could be part of the process where for some women it just feels like you're not really waking up in the morning, right? And your morning coffee
Mm.
isn't really doing it. And you just kind of stay in that sort of foggy state of mind. For a lot of people, it could be related to high cortisol, or cortisol goes higher in, the mid morning. It's supposed to be to help wake us up around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We have too much of it, so it comes at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning and wakes us up. Or just even fatigue. If you're not sleeping properly, you can end up having more brain fog because the brain is kind of like not able to catch up. And I personally think our obsession with low fat diet and calorie
Mm.
restriction also contributes to your brain fog because your brain is fat. It's made of
Yes.
fat. So if
Yes.
you're restricting your calories and not eating, I'm not talking about like scarfing back a burger every day, but I'm talking about adding in those healthy fats like the avocado and cooking with olive oil and making sure that you're eating like salmon and mackerel and those oily fish.
Yes.
And it does make a difference to the brain function. For me, I really noticed that. I don't think that our obsession with being skinny is helping anybody in perimenopause. I think to try to
No.
stay a certain size, you're going to drive yourself nuts and cause more brain fog because you're depriving the brain of the calories that it needs. And it needs
Yeah.
healthy fats and it needs carbs to make hormones. Your body's still
Yes.
making hormones on its own, and you want it to be able to do that as much as it possibly can because that's the most natural source of your own hormones. So
Right.
what I noticed for me is I'm kind of a go-getter, and I love being in courses and I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. So I was taking these psychology classes. I was pussyfooting around doing a master's in counseling psychology through Athabasca University. And I loved the first one. It was great. And the second one was okay. And somewhere in the third course, it was learning psychology, and I've been teaching music lessons since 2001. I love teaching and learning is my thing. I was like, I'm going to love this class. I hated it. I had trouble reading the material. I've never had that problem before, even with stuff that I don't like. It's dry or I had to ask for 3 extensions. I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it through that class, and then I ended up with a B minus, which is a low grade for me. Usually, I like to whatever I'm doing, I like to kick it in the butt.
That's me too.
And yeah, so I was like, you know what? I can't think the same way. I can't remember. I can't focus the same way that I used to. And that was all from brain fog. At that point, I
Wow.
started to feel sorry for the gals who had told me they had brain fog. So I was like, whatever. No, man, brain fog, it can be pretty serious, and those things that I added in, like the healthy fats and the fish oil, I'm just eating more fish in general, and I think has really actually helped me a lot. And thinking about macros and getting enough protein and making
Mm.
sure that I get enough sleep has really affected. But I think the brain fog can also affect your personal relationships too, because you
Uh,
might be less inclined to communicate in a way that is effective and going to be well received, shall we say.
yes. Our poor men. Oh,
Yeah,
our poor
frustration
partners.
tolerance,
Yes.
frustration's down and can't
Well,
remember
I've noticed,
everything.
just on my personal experience, I've noticed when I have more brain fog during the day, that's when I have the most insomnia at
Hmm.
night. because
Mhm.
you're like, gosh, let me get through this day. I'm so tired. Everything's just so foggy
Yeah,
and I can't function and I'm just in this haze. Then it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, everything clears
clears.
up. And you're like, all right, it's party time, And then you're
Yeah.
like up until 3 a.m. So, yeah. What causes the sleep issues with that? Well, real quick, I want to also add to the calorie intake issue because, through it seems like when I started perimenopause I was about 38, 39. After learning that's what was happening. Um, and I gained like 10 pounds every year up until mm, last year or so. And I'm eating less and less and less
Yeah.
because one, I'm really just not hungry. So, and I've got this belly weight. My boobs grew out of the blue, like I hit puberty for the first time. And I was like, how do I get this off of me? Because I know it's not healthy to have that fat right there. So, my doctor's like, well, what about GLP-1s? I'm like, I don't eat enough for it. Like, I don't like the idea of using that because I already don't consume the calories that I'm supposed to. But if I try to fit those calories in, even in a healthy way, I'm just really bloated and I gain more weight. But I have noticed, though, I'm able to consume those calories if I exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And I might not lose a bunch of weight. I might lose a pound here or there, but I'm maintaining and I feel so much better too
Mm-hmm.
because I'm able to get those carbs and get those fats and that protein in and the fiber in. And, I mean, gosh, if we were to eat everything they want us to eat in perimenopause, we would, I mean, you're supposed to have fiber, you're supposed to have protein, you're supposed to have fats, you're supposed to have carbs. We without exercise, I think that whole take GLP-1 skinny thing during this phase can kind of be a little dangerous for us. What do you think about those parts? The
Yeah.
GLP-1 mixed with this.
Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor or a nurse and I don't have a medical degree. However, I am a scientist and I'm about what works for you. So if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. I will say though, my family, I have a lot of diabetes in my family history,
Mm,
both juvenile and adult onset. So for me, that drug was designed for diabetics.
right.
Um, if I started to take it before I became diabetic, now I'm trying to prevent becoming diabetic,
Absolutely.
right? But Mary Tyler Moore was a diabetic. So you can't prevent it completely, right?
Right.
Like, let's just be clear. It's not something that you can 100% have control over. What if I was taking the medication for diabetes before I became diabetic? Then what happens to my medication? And am I now on two or three or four different kinds of things to try to control the diabetes? What have I set myself up for without knowing it? Because they don't know
Yes.
about this stuff. This stuff is new. Not that I would ever tell anybody not to do if they really wanted to try it. And there has been some evidence that it can be very helpful in small doses
Absolutely.
for perimenopause. But for someone like you who's having some issues, some appetite issues, that would be definitely not something that I would consider of benefit to you because
Right.
you're having trouble getting the calories in. I would be more focused on tracking your macros and trying to make sure that you're getting enough protein, enough healthy fats, and enough, whole carbs so that you're getting a nice variety of food in your diet and you're not too restrictive. Like honestly, I don't even look at the calories anymore because what I find is if I'm getting enough of that protein and the healthy fats with some of the nice
Mm,
carbs, then I probably am not going to overeat,
right.
right? Because I'm full, especially with the
True.
healthy fats, right? Put a little bit of
True.
avocado on that sandwich and see if you still want to snarf your face off
I
after
love
you.
that.
You probably don't. But, we really have to, our perimenopause and menopause care needs to be catered to the individual person. Someone like me with a background of diabetes, I don't think you should be messing around with anything because if I do end up with diabetes, I want whatever I have to take to work real, real good. I don't want to
Right.
have had been playing around with it because I didn't need it.
Right.
Right? But I'm not in a concern. None of my doctors are concerned about the weight. I have extra weight on me, but I'm freakishly strong. I've been weight training for 10 years, and I've won two fitness
Awesome.
contests. So it's
Awesome.
muscle as well. And I do have some belly fat on my belly that I believe is trying to do me a favor by just storing a little extra estrogen for me there.
There you go.
That's what it's
I
doing.
love that. Well, thank you for your opinion. And you know, I say on the introduction of these videos, anybody that we interview, you know, just take this into the fact that we're just having a conversation to bring up ideas, help you just maybe get the wording to speak with your own doctor about it because I don't want anybody to misconstrue what we're saying. And like Jessica said, we're each different. We all try different things for ourselves. Like I might be on HRT, but Jessica might not be for her own reasons. So it's really important that you consult your doctor no matter what, even if it's natural. Like vitamins and stuff like that to make sure it's not going to mix in with any of the medicines that you take now.
Yeah, and
Um,
I just want to say, like I just said, eat more fish, right? And I'll have
yep,
women be like, "But I'm allergic to fish, so of course don't eat it because you're allergic to fish, right?"
right,
But
right.
most people probably can eat fish, and that's what you get into with education, right? I'm an educator, so I'm going to give you a bunch of information. You may or may not find what I'm saying that some of it will apply to you and some of it will not apply to you. Like people are often shocked that I don't take any estrogen. I take a local vaginal estrogen treatment
Mm.
because I needed that for the well, I know they have a urinary term for it. I don't know why we come up with these ridiculous terms. I was getting bladder
Gento,
infections, okay?
gen,
That's what was happening. Dude,
genitourinary. So I have the
yeah,
hardest
come
time
on, man.
pronouncing
It's
GSM.
there you go. GSM. So to treat that, a little bit of local estrogen cream makes a huge difference and it stays in the vagina and in that area. It doesn't travel systemically. So I'm not going to worry about it creating aura migraines, which I would, or creating more of the endometriosis that I had, which I
Right.
would if I was adding it in. Doesn't mean I'll never use it. No, it doesn't mean I'll never use it. But right now I'm still firmly in perimenopause where things are changing a
Mm.
lot, so we haven't come to a place of being stable. It doesn't mean I'm against using estrogen. For myself right now, I think it could make me better in some ways and sicker in others.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
need it at this point. I feel that I'm doing quite well on without
Awesome.
it. But I'm not against by any stretch. Like once the blood work shows that there really is no chance that I'm going to ovulate again,
Yep.
then it will be time. But right now, I could
Awesome.
still ovulate at 55. Like what?
When's this gonna end?
I was like, I'll be 50 soon. I'll be 50 soon. Oh, man. But thank God for
Um,
prescriptions. I think that they've, for me, it's been a real miracle worker. And I think I'm also very fortunate because I just didn't have a lot of preconceived ideas about it. I was really lucky that I didn't go into the doctor's office saying, I'm only going to do this or I'm only willing to do this. I was like, whatever you think, I'm willing to try it and we'll see if
yeah.
it works, then it works. I'm sold.
Awesome. Yeah. So what um let's touch a little bit on the sleep issues and anxiety. I feel those go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk to us a little bit about why does this happen? Um, and do you offer any tips on how to help get sleep and to calm anxiety down?
Yeah, the anxiety is definitely related to that stress hormone of the cortisol. So basically, here's like a simple idea of how to think about it. In our womanly lives, we have this nice, lovely cycle where we ovulate, and then the estrogen is doing this thing, and the progesterone is doing its thing, and the testosterone is doing their thing, and they have this little dance. And it's very predictable.
Yeah.
So our body, mind, and spirit gets used to that. This week before the period, I'm going to probably feel about like this and it'll work like that. And we get to predict it. It becomes very, the feedback is really very clear. We know what to expect. And then things start to change. And one of the things that happens is we're making not enough estrogen or way too much estrogen. Our cortisol, the adrenal glands kind of go, okay, we're in danger. This is my personal interpretation of it, by the way. I don't think I've ever read it this way, but the adrenal gland's job is to spit out that cortisol if you need to run from the bear.
Right.
So we've lost our predictability. We can't tell when our period's going to come. It's really stressful when it does, and it's very painful. So now
Mm.
our adrenal glands go, we must be in danger. And they go on high alert and they send out too much cortisol. We're supposed to
Right.
have about half a cup full. Now we have more like 75% of that cup full. And then when we get our little surge to wake us up in the morning, now we're overflowing with cortisol and we wake up maybe with a sense of doom. We might be sweaty. We might be feeling nauseated, even like have headaches. It's very disorienting because you'll wake up feeling like World War III is going on outside your door, but you look around and there's nothing. There's the dog and the husband's there, or the partner, and the windows are fine. Like there is nothing going on, but you really feel like something horrible has happened. That's the
Mm.
stress hormone, right? So it does dissipate throughout the day. And then, like you said, we might have a surge of energy later in the day and then be feeling wide awake finally or more productive or getting some things done for the next day. And then we might have trouble falling asleep.
Yeah.
Or we might crash at the end of the day, completely dead to the world, but then wake up with that startle response at like 3 or 4 in the morning because of that stress hormone. And if it's once in a while, women are very resourceful creatures and you'll have a bad day and then you'll reboot and be back to normal. But unfortunately, if that is the case with the stress hormone being too high, we don't come back to a normal state. We lose more sleep. And then day after day of this going, now you've developed a new habit of not sleeping,
Yeah.
which causes more anxiety because then you're laying there thinking, I have to
Why
go to the
can't I
doctor. I have to
sleep?
take the kid to skating. I have to get to the class, all the things that you have to do in the day. And no one gives you a free pass because you had a bad night's sleep. So that's one of the reasons why I designed the 21 Days to Fix Your Sleep course, because I was looking at it like that's like one of the top complaints and it affects everything, right? Sleep will affect your ability to do your job. It'll affect all of your relationships. It'll affect how you feel in your body. It might affect overeating, like a lot of people do. When they're really tired, they'll eat too much because they're tired. Their body's like, I need something, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
And, there's some way you have to break that cycle. So anytime you have a cycle, anytime you've identified, oh, we always fight before we go to my mom's for dinner. Once you've identified that cycle, all you have to do is break that cycle. All you
Yeah.
have to do is figure out what it is. Your mom makes dinner so late. We usually eat earlier. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to hand him a snack in the car on the way to my mom's and see what happens. And lo and behold, everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As soon as you figure out where you can break that cycle. So you can't just stop having the stress hormone. You can't control your estrogen going up and down. You can't control the progesterone is too low to help you with the sleep.
Mm.
So what you can do is do something like what I do with the sleep program, which is a half an hour before you go to bed. I take you through a series of really gentle yoga. So
Mm.
it's not exercise yoga. There's only one challenge pose. There's a challenge pose because if you don't have any challenge in your practice, it doesn't really tell the body that it's time to stop now. You challenge
Oh,
the body
okay.
for a minute, and then
Yeah.
the body goes, oh, yeah, okay, I'm done now. If you have no challenge,
Interesting.
you don't
Yeah.
burn off any energy, right? You don't burn anything off. And so now you're not going to relax. But I designed it for myself using all of my yoga and yoga therapy. And I did a yoga nidra training course as well. And I just started offering to the women that I knew in my group. And it does work. It's not as easy as taking a pill because you actually have to do that. But you set aside a half an hour for yourself every day for 21 days and you break the cycle. You have more
Yeah.
good days than bad days, and then that will sustain for a long period of time, generally until something else happens, like my dad died and then my sleep went
Mm.
and I had to do it
Yeah.
again. But because when you get this the series of videos, they're evergreen. They don't die. They're still there. You can use them whenever you want. And if you do it more than once, your body knows what you're doing. And one of my
Right.
clients was like, by the time I'm 5 minutes into the class, I'm ready to go to sleep because my body knows what I'm on about. I'm trying to get back to sleep. So there are things you can do, but like I said, none of that's instinctual, right? Like we don't think that way as far as, putting in that effort. And it does take effort. You have to tell your family at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be doing my half hour, and let the chips fall where they may,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
people don't necessarily like it, but that's actual self-care. Going and getting your hair cut is maintenance. Getting your nails done
Yes,
is
thank
maintenance.
you.
It's nice and you should do it, and I do it, but I don't count that as self-care. Self-care is actually listening to your own body and being like, oh, like at one point I was talking to someone and I was like, well, how much water are you drinking every day? And she had absolutely no idea. Well, drinking a little bit more water is an easy place to start. Think your body's made of, you know, mostly water. So
More,
if you're not
yeah,
drinking enough, that'll make you can feel pretty awful, and doesn't
yeah.
give the body the ingredients that it needs to make the hormones that it can on its own. And that's one of the things
Water
that
helps flush
happens.
out cortisol too,
Hmm.
so
Flush
that
out the
helps your kidneys
cortisol.
get rid of it.
Yeah, so that you don't have so much of it, and exercise as well, right? But I
Yep,
wouldn't recommend. People will be like, well, just go find a yoga video online and do that before bed. But you have to be really careful because a lot of yoga is exercise. It's considered
yes,
light exercise, and it's not conducive to settling you down at the end of the day. It's going to get your
right.
brain working, it's going to get your body working, and it might give you another second wind, which might make it harder. Whereas mine is going to put you to sleep. The last 10 minutes is a guided meditation to put you to sleep. And
Oh,
one of my clients would take the video on her iPad to bed with her and listen to the last 10
hmm.
minutes with the earbuds and then put it away and sleep for the whole night.
That's been my muse to help me with sleep. It's been guided meditations and breath work.
Yeah.
And just, tell my husband, roll
Good
over, watch
night.
TV, whatever. I'm going into my meditative state and putting my earbuds in for the night.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I love the idea of your yoga that, one yoga pose to tell your body, okay, now it's calming down time. Um, I really like that. So I'm going to have Jessica's link in the description for her 21 days. So make sure you take a look and sign up. Jessica, I see a lot of women really falling into the trap, and this has just been my experience with going around to other groups and talking with other women, um, of they're falling into this trap still of you're a woman, you're not supposed to want sex, and especially middle-aged women. Um, why do you feel that is, and how do the three issues we talked about, how do you feel that affects our desire for intimacy? Hi, we've just started this new product called Saluna for Women, and I want to give you a chance to get in on it today. Right now, at the time of recording this, we are offering a founding members discount at 40% off. You can get your hands on this amazing new product for $27, plus receive 20% off all Saluna for Women products from here on out for life. What is Saluna for Women? Saluna for Women is a dual applicant lubrication product. What that means is you can use it for lubrication during your intimate moments, and you can also apply it to your vaginal area on a daily basis. The products inside are all natural, promote healing, promote your natural body's ability to create moisture, and it helps with vaginal tearing, itchiness, vaginal dryness, and painful sex. So we want you to have the opportunity to get your hands on this today. After the founding members discount is over with, it will be offered on a subscription basis or as a one-time product purchase. So keep your eye out for when that shifts over. But right now, you can get in on it as a pre-sale and have it in your hands by the very beginning of the year. So click the button, salunaforwomen.com, and it will take you to the founding members page to where you can read all about it and find out more about this amazing new product. And we will talk to you soon.
I think really part of the problem is like we have like Farrah Fawcett, and you're a vibrant woman and you're ready to go and you've got all the kids on your hip and you're doing all the things, and then there's Mrs. Claus. Like there's just nothing in between, right?
There isn't.
There just isn't. And nobody really wants to be, as much as we like Mrs. Claus, we don't really want to turn into a round lady with a bun and making cookies all day. Um, or maybe some of us do. And that doesn't mean that she can't be a
I like a
monster in a
medium
sack
A.
either. Maybe Mrs. Claus is a monster in a sack. They've been together for a long time. Um, but I think a lot of it can be like, for me, for example, right here I am a go-getter and I'm always in classes and I'm learning things and I'm helping people and I'm teaching and I'm learning. And then all of a sudden I can't learn anymore, which is basically what happened for my brain fog. That
Yeah.
really caused a big who am I? Because it was the first time in my adult life I had put my mind on a goal of becoming, getting the master's in counseling, to being, I can't do that right now.
Mm,
It's not going to happen. So I put that
right.
on the back burner. And now I feel like it's probably wonderful that I did that. Like it's great that I did the classes and that I finished them, but I don't feel that I need that master's in counseling psychology right now. So it's fine. But it did affect how I felt about myself for sure. Not sleeping. What's sexy about being exhausted, right?
Nothing.
And anxious, especially if you've had some body changes like we just talked about. You can be really anxious about how your body looks. And, I mean, I
Mm,
live with a man and he still sees me as the beautiful lady that he met so long ago. That's what he
yeah.
sees when he sees me. But I have had quite a few times where I was like, I feel kind of weird about where my body's at, and the changes that have happened. And he's really good about reassuring me, and I'm really good about realizing like that's my problem. That's a mental problem. That's how I'm looking at myself and being critical about how my body has changed, instead of appreciating what it is. And especially chronic pain, right? There's a lot of pain for us involved. We might have really painful periods, you might have really long periods, or a lot of bleeding. That's not sexy at all, and we don't feel
No.
like we want to be touched. Even we might already have so much body pain. Touch might be something that we don't want, or we've had kids clinging to us all day, so we don't want any of that. um, However, I will say, if it sounds like I'm telling you not to bother, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it does
Yeah.
take a little bit of like all the insecurities and the weirdness, take that and put that on the shelf and focus on your body as being a very unique creation. If you look at other female
Mm,
creatures on the planet, we are the only ones that have a clitoris, and the only function of that organ is to achieve orgasm. It's for pleasure. That's all it is.
yeah.
So if it's there, if we have that, why do we have that if it's not because the woman's body is made for pleasure? And
Yes.
pleasure is a natural way of treating body pain.
It really is.
It
Yeah.
really is. And I had to, just, again, as a scientist, experimenting on myself and realizing I could have, on the one hand, endometriosis pain. But I work with a woman named Naomi, and she's a pleasure naturopath. So she talks a lot about pleasure. And I was doing a challenge with her. So every day we had an exercise we had to do that was a pleasure exercise. And I went
Mm.
upstairs to do this exercise because I'm diligent. And I was like, man, I'm having abdominal pain,
Oh,
like
wow.
abdominal pain. I don't want to have it. I'm not feeling even remotely interested in any pleasure exercise, but it's my homework, so I'm going to do it. And I did. And then I realized, the pain scale went down from like a 7 to a 3.
Yes.
And I still had probably just as much pleasure as I would have if I'd had no pain from that
Right.
exercise.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, okay, so we have to consciously make a decision that this is still important to us, that our body
Mm,
is made for pleasure, and that we're entitled and to enjoy ourselves, whether we have a partner that's interested in that or not. Our own body is a great source of pleasure that we could be enjoying, instead of just
hmm.
focusing on the things that aren't quite working the way that they used to, which just
Yes.
makes us more unhappy. So, I mean, really, it does take this idea there. You have to challenge, why do I feel like being a middle-aged woman and being a sexual creature are somehow mutually exclusive?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like who gave me that idea? Okay, so here the patriarchy gave you that idea. It's a dude that
Yeah.
gave you that idea. because
Yeah.
he's going to replace you with a 35-year-old woman, have two more kids, and then realize in 5 years or 10 years that she's in perimenopause too. Oh, second wife turned into a witch as well. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. But you know what I mean? Like, avoiding your problems by replacing people is not a solid strategy, although it is definitely employed by a lot of people. I think it's more important to, if you can, and just bear with the hippy dippy idea, fall in love with yourself,
Yes. Yes.
right? Like you're a
That's not
beautiful,
hippy dippy at all.
no, you're a beautiful woman, you're a beautiful person, and one day, luck, maybe you'll be a beautiful old woman who's
Yes.
still entitled to pleasure and enjoying her body and her life and her partner if she has one, or herself if she doesn't. And
And I want to encourage women, especially middle aged, to, I mean, there's a lot of beautiful women out there. And I want to encourage you to look at not social media posts. Find real women out there and look at them more often and see what you like. Not, I mean, you can look at somebody and say, "Oh, they got a great smile," or look at her lips and not be sexually attracted to them. So that's if you are, that's fine too. But
but
look
just as a
at what
pleasure exercise, just
Yes,
noticing how
look
beautiful
at
people are.
what you
Yeah,
admire about that woman.
yeah,
And she's not going to have the flattest stomach. She's not going to have the smoothest skin. She's going to have cellulite. She's going to, especially if she's lived. I mean,
hmm,
not everybody has a chef to cook these meals that take you to be super thin.
yeah,
And, I see a lot of the new movies coming out, and the thinness in the actors is, to me, scary. I would rather have my curves and my belly and my boobs and, my bat wings, a little bit. And while I'm working on my bat wings, as I'm working, I'm like, my body's pretty amazing. Look at what it's able to do,
yeah.
and not look at it from, oh, I need to have this perfect belly button. I need to have this perfect
No,
everything. You
no.
don't. Admire and accept yourself fully. Because, like, me and my friends joke around, I joke around with my husband about this. I have my belly, my little pooch, but then I have a fupa, and that's the belly under the belly. And it happens when you're our age. So it's okay. And I want to encourage women too to talk to their partner or spouse, you know, but don't say, you're not understanding. Stop with the, you need to fix this. Stop approaching me. I don't
Yeah,
want you to touch me. Explain to them, because if we don't know what's going on, doctors don't know what's going on.
yeah,
A man doesn't understand it at all because we don't even have the language to explain it to them. But I want to encourage women to say, "Look, I'm going through this. This is what's happening to my body. I might need a little bit more help from you to help me get into that headspace of wanting to receive pleasure." It's okay. They're going to be like, "Yeah, let's.
yeah. What can we do? Can we do
Yeah,
it
what
now?
can we do? Let's try new things."
Yeah, the Monty Python skit where it's John Cleese and they're in the classroom and they're doing sex education, and
Yeah.
they said, "Where do we start?" And it's like, "What's wrong with a kiss? Why not just start with a kiss?" And that's like kind of like a little bit of my motto. And I have a class for that, how to talk to I have perimenopause and menopause for male partners because they
Awesome.
don't have the same equipment and they don't understand.
Right.
But it's not it doesn't have to be a gigantic change in how you do things, but the whole like just going along with it to get it over with kind of situation. If you've been doing that, it's not going to work for you anymore during perimenopause. At some point, you're just not going to want to do it at all.
It's going to hurt. You
It's
can
going to
tear
hurt.
your
Yeah,
tissue.
it's
I
not
mean,
worth it.
no, it's
No,
not.
but
There's a
you
lot.
can communicate about what's happening and make suggestions of things that you might be interested in trying. There's some good podcasts. I recently just got a book, but I wouldn't recommend it because I was a little disappointed. She was on a podcast and they were talking about menopause, and she was really good on the podcast, but in the book it says
Mm.
nothing about menopause. I really feel like that's missing, and when I started teaching and talking about this, I had a few members of my group say, you shouldn't be doing that because you're not qualified. And I was like, I'm not qualified. I've been with the same guy for, whatever, almost 30 years,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
two of us. How does that make me not qualified? And I have all the same
Exactly.
equipment, and I've had to figure out the same challenges. All of us have a very similar challenge. And one of the simplest things that I would suggest that you look into is understanding the difference between responsive desire
Mm.
and spontaneous desire. So when you're
Ah.
younger, you have spontaneous desire, you just think like, oh yeah, okay, let's do it. Kids are in bed, it's 9:30, right? Let's
Let's go.
finally we have a chance to be alone. Let's get, come on. But then at some point that is kind of like deactivated. That button might happen at some point, but not the way that it used to. And you still have responsive desire. So
Yes.
if your partner puts on the music and if you like candles and if you have a bath together, that can be really nice. It has to be something that you guys like together.
Yeah.
And then, like the other day, I really like Pink Floyd. I love Pink Floyd. I love listening to Pink Floyd,
I
and we
do
have a
too.
really nice stereo. So my husband, he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Let's just set up the little bed on the floor in the living room and listen to Pink Floyd." And so we set it up with bolsters and blankets and got all comfy and just laid there and listened to Pink Floyd for a long time. And it was just like heaven, That at that point, your body gets so nice and relaxed
Mm.
that when he holds your hand, you go, oh yeah, I am here, I am available, I am
Yeah.
interested, I do love you, I want to make sure that we're connecting and have some pleasure together, because
Yes.
one thing that I've noticed with a dude, you live with a dude and you're not regularly active with that person, they become pretty miserable pretty quickly, which makes you even less likely to be interested, because we're talking responsive desire, which means,
Yeah.
rub my feet or brush my hair, whatever it is that works for you. I don't know, right? We're all a little
Right.
bit different. But don't be discouraged by that switch off of the spontaneous desire. That happens for pretty much everybody. That's part of the
Yeah.
estrogen coming to a lower point, but the responsive desire is still there. You just have to work for it a little bit. But I hear
Mm.
again and again and again from women, if you don't give up on it and you keep working with trying to figure out how you can keep things going, keep the juices flowing, keep the momentum with that relationship with yourself or your partner, eventually on the other side, you don't have to work so hard and you have
Yeah.
like some of the best sex of your life.
And I want to encourage women quit going for the end game
Yeah.
because for us, that's not what intimacy is.
Yeah.
While it's fantastic, when we put that pressure on ourselves, that pressure is not going to allow you to have that end game.
No.
So,
Pressure is really not sexy. Pressure is the
no.
opposite of sexy. Like I've really noticed to think,
Yes.
oh, we haven't done it in a while. I should. And then as soon as I think that, I'm like, no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, I shouldn't anything, especially when it comes to, that kind of relationship where I got to take that pressure. Whatever happens, happens. Like last time we were talking about it, we were like, let's just try to make each other's laugh as much as we can. Because the whole, it is
I love that.
ridiculous when you think about what we're doing. Sex is crazy and weird, and it's strange, but
It is.
it's also funny. And if you can laugh without it seeming like you're laughing at your partner, laughing together is a great glue. And I think that it's too bad that there was so much shame around the transition, so that there hasn't been that discussion. This isn't the first book. There's been a couple others that I've had recommended to me on sex in particular, and I get the book and then I'm like, okay, where's the chapter about menopause? And it's not there.
Really.
Yeah, it's not there.
Wow. Wow.
So you have to make it up yourself.
No, that's no.
Yeah, it's
We're
disappointing.
changing that.
So this
We're
is this
changing
is
that
what
right
yeah.
now.
It's like, how did we get that idea? Well, they just removed that.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
supposed to be vital and sexy until you turn into Mrs. Claus, and that's it. Like,
It was
no,
funny because, I talked to my mom about everything and she probably wishes I wasn't so open with her. Um, but, I actually have a new product, which I'm not promoting it on here, but it's for vaginal dryness. And, when I told her I'm starting this podcast so we can talk a little bit more about intimacy and vaginal dryness and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, that's just, I've given up on that idea. I was like, no, why? And she's like, because I'm not in love with anybody. And I'm like, Mom, I was like, put the emotions aside and go have fun. Just go have fun with it. And she's like, no. So I basically told my mom to go get laid.
Lucky mom.
Yeah, and she's like, I can't believe you're talking to me about this stuff. But, I asked her, I was like, at what point did it start becoming unimportant to you? And she said she was around 60-ish. And I was, I got to thinking because bless my husband also, I'm his second wife. He's a widow and he's a little bit older than me on top of it. So he didn't really think clearly, about our marriage and me he's having to deal with another wife going through menopause. Bless his heart. But, some of the thing, dealing with and being able to talk to him, men are also going through their
Mm-hmm.
changes. And one thing that he has said is when a man starts going through it, they want to do it more to prove to themselves they still can. So while we have our men coming at us saying, I need to prove my manhood and that I'm still viable and able to, us women are going that like running away
Opposite
saying,
way. And
no, I'm dry. It hurts. I don't want
yeah.
to, I don't want you to touch me. So I think communication is going to be really key. And the more you can talk about something like this and have the wording and you listen to podcasts like this and, get involved with Jessica's um, programs, you're going to have the verbiage to be able to bring this up to your spouse. And when you can talk about your intimacy, that alone is intimacy.
Yeah.
Because then you can have fun with that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we tried that. Let's try tomorrow. It doesn't have to be so serious.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so serious. And,
Yeah.
Martin, my husband, and I were talking the other day about it, and I all of a sudden turned to him and I was like, do you think, now this wasn't an issue for me because I had good doctors, but do you think that if I was having trouble getting the vaginal estrogen cream, if you had come with me to the doctor and told them that you wanted them to prescribe it to me, do you think I would have gotten it? And he was like, absolutely, because as a man, as soon as the man sits down and says, she doesn't want to have sex with me, now you actually have a problem,
Yeah.
right? The woman can
Yeah.
say, well, I'm not interested in sex or sex hurts, and the doctor will tell you to do it anyway,
Yeah. Well, it's
right?
just something you're going to have to deal with.
Whereas if the husband says, I would like you to treat my wife to help her with her vaginal dryness, I bet you anything. And I've talked to a couple of prescribers who work in that field and asked them about it, if they think
Mm.
that that's also true. And they agreed. They said, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So for women who have a partner, if you're having trouble getting prescriptions, take your husband to the doctor's appointment with you and
Yeah.
have him ask and see what
Ab-
happens.
yeah, absolutely. I've worked actually, I was a dialysis tech. I'm not actually a doctor, but the doctor I worked under was wonderful. He actually came in, he wanted everybody in the clinic to know exactly what was happening on a cellular level with his patients. So he would come in on Saturday on his day off and sit with us techs and basically give us a doctorate, without
Yeah.
actually having one. But one of the things that I don't think women know about is the women that keep coming in and saying, give me this, give me that. They are actually labeled as the whiny woman.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because, oh, she's complaining again. Oh, she's got a new symptom. Oh, this is happening to her. But you're right. As soon as a man comes in with her, oh, we got to fix this. There really is a problem. She's not just being a whiny woman. And they will put that in a person's chart. And I was floored when I learned that because he was like, this happens a lot. He goes, it's not happening with my patients. And I was like, who would do that? I was like, I was
Yeah.
floored about that.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's infuriating, but I mean, if you have, it's just the same thing with your car. If you have to take your car in, get your husband to come with you, or get him to do it, or get your uncle or your brother, like, because
Yeah.
all of a sudden I have had that. I had one with a car where they were like, it's going to be $2,000 to keep your car on the road. And I had him call them and, it was $250 to get
Yep.
it back on the road. So, I mean, not that we're cars that our husbands are driving, but, I really personally feel like the system is as it is. We can spend a lot of time focused on the problems with the system, of which there are many, or we can look towards some potential solutions. And if you have a partner at home, that is a potential solution to bring them. And one of my clients recently said, well, my husband is willing to go with me to the doctors for other things. But he wants, like, he's one of those, like, A-type personality. I just need to know, like, what's on the agenda. Like, why,
Yeah.
what is my role here? He didn't understand just going with her. So she had to
Ah,
explain to him, as a support person to the person who has a chronic condition, your job is to come and be the eyes and ears so that you catch everything. If there's a follow up that has to happen on Tuesday, or this has to be taken for 2 weeks, and then you add those details, that's your job to keep track of, because I'm the one who's sick. I can't do all of those things. And then no problem. He's in, he's
right.
fine, he's
Yep.
got it. But he needs that direction in a way that, if Amy, if you were to ask me to come to the doctor with you, I would know what you were telling you. I would know that you were maybe going to be upset about being at the doctor because there was something going on and you needed me to keep track of what day she's supposed to start this pill
Yeah.
and make sure that everything's clear, and make sure that follow-up appointment gets booked and all of those details, right? You need someone who's a little
Right.
bit detached to take care of all those details.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things that I think can be very helpful with the way that I talk and deal with women, is that I say, the label of what the thing is called, right? In this case, it's called peri or post menopause.
Hmm.
Doesn't really matter. What matters is you have a set of conditions, you have this chronic situation that you have to deal with. You can look at it from that lens, and then it becomes a lot easier to manage, because you're just managing symptoms and trying to get help with this particular condition. And then the whole, judgment of, like, whether it means you're old or washed up, can throw, you can throw that away. Like, Jane Fonda is a great role model for all of us. Not all of us
Oh,
can have a
I love
personal
her.
chef, but look at what
Yes.
she's done with the later half of her life.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's got a platform and fame and everything, so she can do amazing, incredible things. But there's no reason why average woman shouldn't be able to have an amazing third act of her life,
Yes.
as long as she's willing to, frankly, do a lot of work, which is hard if you don't have any sleep. So get some sleep first. First things first.
Yes. Yes. Jessica, thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything that we did not talk about that you feel needs to be said?
Just join the School of Perimenopause. It's on Patreon. I have over 130 items, and the 21 Days to Fix Your Sleep is part of the gold membership. And what you'll find there is just a plethora of different information, right? Like I said, it's not all HRT. It's not all supplements. It's not all, you know what I mean? Anything that
Hmm.
is of interest, I will put into there so that you can find it easily. Instead of looking all over the place for different information, you can find it all in one spot.
Oh, I
And
love that.
that just makes it really streamlined, right? Especially if you're overwhelmed. And a lot of it is videos that you can just listen to. I have one client who likes to listen to this. I have, like, expert lecturers coming in about once a month, and
Okay.
they talk on a variety of different topics, and just like this, but they're sharing their knowledge from their own experience and their practice. And so you can listen along. But there's two things that, I vetted that person. So I made sure
Yeah.
that they weren't like Joey Blow, who works in the pharmacy
Yeah.
but doesn't have any qualifications or experience. And I trust them, or I wouldn't be putting them in front of my people. So they've
Right.
either helped me with something, or they've helped someone that I know with something. Like, they've been they're a reliable source of information, but you still have the right and the obligation to make the decision that's best for you, whether or not you would go down that pathway, right?
Right.
We can say do a pleasure practice, and that's good for everybody. But if you're not comfortable with that, then you don't do that. You just take a bubble bath and forget about the fact that that's a pleasure practice.
It really is.
It
Oh,
is.
I love bubble baths.
Yeah. Or read a book, or go for a walk, or talk to your friend on the phone. These are all things
Yeah.
that are very pleasurable for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I will have all of Jessica's links in the description of this show. So please follow Jessica on all her social media and be sure to hit the subscribe button because we don't grow without you and we do appreciate it. And it's free.
Yeah.
So hit the subscribe button. And Jessica, again, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Amy. It's been
Thank
great.
you.